Coming to you live from Atlanta, Georgia. You are now listening to the Sankofa Paradox with Ed D and Low Key on ATL Underground Radio.
ATL, man, what's happening out there on another Sunday? Coming to you live from the underground. It's Sankofa Paradox. With me, I'm Ed D. I got the brother Mr. Low Key over here to my side. And behind me, I got the resident PhD, Dr. Funkenstein. Man, look, y'all came down here to my city this weekend and just acted a stone fool, man. You got people getting shot everywhere. They got people walking around in the malls half naked. Y'all actually came down here and was gonna have y'all some Freaknet / All-Star Weekend down here, didn't you? Well, today is Sunday, so sober up and go home.
And if you know you got HIV and COVID,
Wow. Damn.
go get checked out, brother. Cause
He hit both ends of the negativity.
I mean,
hard.
the COVID and HIV was in the park like, high five me, high five me, high five me, high five me.
Wow. But listen, I hope y'all had a good time down here. I hope, most of you came down and, left in one piece.
Wait, the game ain't started yet.
Well, people are leaving now because they got to. Because you can't go to the game no way. So a lot of people are leaving today because they got to go to work tomorrow.
They ain't gonna make it. They ain't gonna make it.
So
Jobs gonna be giving that drug test on Monday.
Oh boy. I hope y'all came down here and had.
I came down with something.
Half of a good time.
I came down with something. I don't know what it is.
Hopefully, we didn't super spread, but
oh no, it spread it.
Oh no, yeah.
I heard about monster parties going on with 600 peoples and no masks being worn. So, man, I hope y'all know what y'all doing. But listen here, man. Like I say, the only sports thing I got for you today is I think the Falcons have found a decent backup for Matt Ryan. He's from North. What's NCSD?
North Dakota State.
Yeah.
You talking about Trey Lance?
Yeah.
So the dude who went almost 2 years without throwing an interception?
Yeah.
The black quarterback?
Yeah,
They're not going to get Trey Lance.
Get him.
Man, they ain't going to get Zach Wilson from BYU. Or they going to get Matt Jones from Alabama.
Brigham Young?
Yeah.
Brigham.
No. Zach Wilson's a monster now. He's good. Yeah. He's as mobile as...
I actually looked up the dude from North Dakota State.
Same school that Carson Wentz went to.
Yeah. I get it.
Oh, he's a monster.
Yeah, but
Trey,
I looked at him and he might be something we could do something with.
I mean,
But
if they get Trey Lance, guaranteed the Arthur Smith he gonna win, and they gonna say it's Arthur Smith. It's gonna be Trey Lance. Any quarterback, I don't care what level of college you're on, that don't throw an interception in 2 years.
Yeah, he's
and has thrown over 25 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's something serious.
Yeah.
So.
At the college level, you expecting a dude to throw a couple interceptions.
Yeah, man. Not a one.
Not a one in 2 years. He's supposed to be.
He threw one in his last game. Last game, because he hadn't played in a year and a half.
Yeah.
He threw one. He was like, "Oh man," and then beat the brakes off that team. But
exactly.
But yeah.
So I think if they can get that dude, we can still put together a defense and an O line. We might be all right next year, and then
I'm gonna tell you,
maybe Matt Ryan will slip in the shower, and then he can play.
They ain't gonna get.
Wow, that's what
they're not gonna get Trey Lance. And the reason they're not gonna get Trey Lance is because he'd be too much of a competition for Matt Ryan.
Ryan needs some daggone competition.
Yeah, but we know the name of the game. I'm Superman, the Great White Hype.
He ain't super nothing. He's super terrible.
Well, no, I'm not gonna say Matt Ryan's terrible. Because the man, MVP season, the man got a lot of statistics. He just can't win.
How good? Why does it matter? I guess we are talking about sports today, y'all. Why does it matter if your statistics individually are good, but your team sucks? That means absolutely nothing to me. You're doing great as an individual, but your team is horrible. It's kind of like, I like your ADP, but your DP is cake.
I mean, you got to look at it like this. You got to look at it simply. It's the Dan Marino effect. Dan Marino went to the Super Bowl once or twice. Never won one. Had outstanding statistics. Had a squad just like Matt Ryan did. But Dan Marino could never win a big one.
Wait a minute, though. Pause. Dan Marino is actually what you call a solidly. He was a solid quarterback. at no time when you talked about the troubles of the Dolphins, did you ever say that doggone Marino, man? I'm telling you, that guy sucks.
Well,
Exactly.
Truthfully, we're not that old, so we don't know exactly what was going to be said.
I have
However,
never heard anybody say
no,
anything
because
negative about
this is the day. And you gotta also think about it like this: Matt Ryan was following Michael Vick. Michael Vick didn't throw for 5,000 yards, but he would sure get you to the playoffs. He would run that 1,000 yards, running for his life because he didn't have an offensive line. I mean, it was like, a free-for-all. Go get Michael Vick. Offensive line was like, ole! And, and then you see Michael Vick 60 yards down the field. I mean, so the thing was, we expect you to win, but Matt Ryan was not about the Falcons winning. It was about them erasing the history and the legacy of Michael Vick, which never happened.
Never going to do that.
Which never happened because he got out of jail, went to Philly, and said, I'm taking the Eagles to the playoffs.
Yeah, and he dang sure did it.
So, I mean, and then went to Pittsburgh and said, just call me when you need me.
Yeah.
So, Trey Lance, I believe, is too much of a challenge to Matt Ryan.
But then, so what you're telling me is they rather just play these quasi-political bullshit games versus actually putting together a winning squad. Is
Yes.
that what you're saying?
Of course,
Yes.
that's what people have been
Yes.
saying for years.
That's
Yes.
disgusting.
But if you get Justin Fields, which would be the dream scenario for Atlanta, but and the reason I say Justin Fields before Trey Lance, Justin Fields is a known commodity. He's also from Georgia. Yeah. People will accept that more than Trey Lance, who they don't know about, and they see this kid come in and be like Kurt Warner.
What's y'all spot in the draft?
5.
So
whatever the suckiest, whatever the spot is for the suckiest team, that's our spot.
That's reserved for
that's reserved for the Jets.
and the Jaguars.
Right.
So we don't get the suckiest spot. Okay.
I'm about to say, so you would have to hope that the Jets and the team and who's doing third? Who's third?
That's Miami. That is the most horrible thing I've ever heard in my life. You got the Dolphins drafting number 3 overall with a squad like that.
So
because Houston's so stupid, they say, here, we'll give you Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills and a first-round pick. Going the other way.
For who?
The Dolphins, they got the number 3 overall pick because
who did they get? Who the Dolphins give them to get that?
They gave him Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills.
Yeah, that was.
No, Laramie Tunsil was a great offensive tackle.
Yeah, he no slouch.
Kenny Stills is he's a okay
yeah, not for the number 3 overall pick. Because right now Miami's sitting there like, shit, like we don't need a quarterback, but Devontae Smith, you and Jamar Chase looking very good at number 3 overall, even though we got 11-5 or 10-6 record.
You know what I think will happen, and Miami will be the greatest of all time if my Jets are dumb enough not to take Fields, right? Which is very possible.
They're gonna take Zach Wilson.
They've been dumb for years.
They're gonna take Zach Wilson.
So let's say my Jets continue their stupidity and don't take Fields. If the Dolphins take Fields number 3 and then trade and get Watson, bruh. That's
overkill.
They got that quarterback situation set up for the next 30 years.
So if they draft Fields and then trade Fields or Tua, that's overkill though. You don't want Fields and Deshaun Watson because you got 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks sitting behind. You don't want that.
You can't do that.
You got to have a middling quarterback. You got to draft somebody like Kellen Mond to sit behind. I mean, no, Kellen Mond's not bad now.
I understand.
But you got to be like because. You're never going to play.
There is a such thing as being the greatest backup of all time.
Yeah.
Like he's a head coach currently in the NFL right now.
What?
Who?
Frank Wright. He has the quarterback.
Yeah, he was.
He's the greatest
Frank Wright.
backup of all time.
Yeah,
he got the greatest comeback of all time.
Yeah, Frank Wright was a monster now. and then he had Phillip Rivers playing. I mean. Yeah. And he might be. Hey, people keep forgetting.
He got Carson Wentz, so he gonna.
People keep forgetting. That's why Carson Wentz was good back then. He had Frank Wright.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now he's like, I'm gonna give you a 3rd and a 5th.
Two things. Now that I know how to do it, I'm definitely looking forward to the next fantasy football season. Now that I know how to work that, because in the beginning I was like, "What the heezy is this?" But I know how to work that thing now, so I'm looking forward to the next fantasy football season. Anthony Walton, look out, cause homeboy, we finna come see you on this fantasy football thing. I am calling you out bro, we gonna see you next fantasy football season. And the second thing is what a headache of an off season that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are having. Why? Because they got to figure out how to keep that team together to get them to the off season. I mean, get them through preseason and into the 2021 season. Why? Because you got to figure out how to sign Grunt. You got to figure out how to bring Antonio Brown back. You got to figure out how to bring Evans back. You got to figure out how to bring Goodwin back. You got to figure out how to bring. Well, I think Brady's already locked in.
Yeah,
But
he got
but you got. He's not locked
in.
in.
It's a simple fix to that whole situation.
What's the simple fix?
You let Goodwin go.
No,
wait,
that's
listen,
not the fix.
listen,
They got to bring that whole team back to win, though.
Listen, if you let Goodwin go, excuse me, you have enough money to sign Gronk, you have enough money to sign AB, and then you trade and you go get Odell.
they're not gonna trade Odell.
What I mean, but
Cleveland not doing that, man.
Cleveland acting like
No, they'll trade him just like
acting
Tom
like
Brady.
they're gonna trade him because they feel like they're stupid enough to feel like they don't need him.
So what they wanted to happen was Odell to go to Miami or Houston or wherever Deshaun Watson decides to go. And I mean, because that'll give if you give
That'd be really
Deshaun
nice.
Watson, Odell Beckham Jr., y'all might as well go ahead and tell whatever coach it is he's going to win Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
And that everything is all right in the world.
Yeah, pretty
But
much.
you know the head coach of the Houston Texans met with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun was like, "Man, congratulations, but I'm still gone.
Right. Yeah.
How let you play? I'll see you when I play against you." And everybody's like, "Well, Deshaun Watson set out." Deshaun said, "I'm willing to lose millions for my principles."
Did you hear Steve Smith's take on the situation?
What did he say?
Because Steve Smith knew that coach from back when he was
Right.
rookie,
David Cullen.
and that coach really basically tried to defecate on Steve Smith, because Steve Smith made the NFL as a punt returner,
Yeah.
and so he made I think it was the All-Star game, and the Pro Bowl, excuse me, and he went over there with the wide receivers, and then dude chumped him off like, "This is for wide receivers." And Steve Smith still holds that grudge today. You talk about 20 years later, right?
Well, I can understand
and he
that,
was
'cause,
like,
you know.
it goes to show that your eye for talent is trash.
Yeah.
No,
Because I
but
turned out to be one of the greatest receivers
Right.
playing during that time
But-
frame. So you, as a talent coach, you should be able to spot. Okay, you run as a punt returner that right now, that's cool. But you got a certain skill set that will be good over here.
And
I
even
found
then,
out
but
that's
I
very
can
interesting.
understand this though. You still made the Pro Bowl as a special teamser. Take your butt over there with the special teams because this ain't your spot yet.
Well,
No, it wasn't
yes
because
and no.
Steve
Yes and no.
Smith wasn't the go-to guy when we got to that
When
Pro
he-
Bowl.
when he first, you know,
Yeah, he had to go ahead and get himself coached up and get there. So we're not going to act like David Cullen was just a bad guy.
Well, let's say this. Let's say maybe David Cullen said some things to him that he probably shouldn't have said.
No, he should have
when
said that.
chumped him off.
No, he should have
Because
said
there's
that.
a way you can chump somebody off and not be
No,
disrespectful.
he can say that as a coach. That was his job. He said what he's supposed to say. Take your butt over there with the special teams like you're supposed to be. I'll do the wide receivers and get your game up so you can be over here with the wide receivers.
Yeah, but he didn't go over there on his own. One
But-
of the coaches, if I'm not mistaken, sent him over there. So he didn't have to respond that way. It's a
But you
certain
know what happened, though?
decorum
But
and
you know
how
what
you
happened
respond to
though?
people.
Steve Smith went to Baltimore with David Cullen for David Cullen to coach him.
David Cullen wasn't his.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Yes,
David
he
Cullen
was.
was on the
Fact check us.
David Cullen was on the staff. I agree.
Right, thank
but
you.
David Cullen was not like one of the people, and it's still widely known that he does not like that dude.
He might not like him, but he went there for him to coach
He
him.
didn't go there for him to coach him.
Steve
He went
Smith,
there to
David
win.
Cullen. You know who the wide receiver coach for the Ravens when Steve Smith got there?
He went there to win. He didn't go there for him.
Okay. So again, you know who the wide receivers coach was when he got there? David Cullen. You know who the assistant head coach was when Steve Smith got there? David Cullen. Guess who room Steve Smith sat in every practice? David Cullen. Guess who Steve Smith had to listen to every day during and out of practice? David Cullen. David Cullen is one of the most.
I'm gonna have to look into
Look it
that
up.
a little bit
David
more.
Cullen is one of the
'cause
most respected coaches in the NFL.
Well, I understand that, but his eye for talent is trash.
I can't say that.
Well,
How
I didn't say that. That's what Steve Smith said.
You can't say, okay, I mean.
Steve Smith is know him better than anything.
But that's one person out of a whole. And Steve Smith gets into it with a lot of people. Why? Because he got the little man syndrome. And he's like,
he's a little man you don't want to fool with.
That's exactly.
Yeah,
he don't take no mess from nobody. That's all.
Okay, and that's cool. No, you don't. You don't. But that's the thing.
Dude has whooped some ass in the NFL.
Facts.
He has cleared out some locker rooms from what I hear.
Oh yeah,
when people take him to that place, he wanted them. Wait, what you say? And then everybody started
called the Napoleonic complex.
Y'all, just like in Color Purple, night, y'all.
I mean,
what you say?
Okay, we gotta get to topic.
But before we lead into the topic, also segue into the topic. What do we think about the fact that all these talented NFL, these African Americans in the NFL, they got snubbed for head coaching jobs? Now, topic.
That brings us to our topic of today: the attack on the 14th Amendment and Black America. Remember Frederick Douglass. See, people don't know what the 14th Amendment is. Nobody pays attention to it. They talk about the 15th, 13th. They talk about the first, second. Because why? First, the right to freedom of speech. Second, right to bear arms. I'm not going to explain what the 13th and 15th, because you don't know. Make sure you talk to your education system about what they're not teaching you. But the 14th Amendment is the right to citizenship. See, people keep forgetting that the 14th Amendment wasn't there when the Constitution was written. Because we were 3/5 of a person, which means we wasn't a whole person. You know, you cut off both our legs and you still got other limbs, your head and your arms, that's what they consider you as. You are property. And I mean, and I'm gonna say this to people so they can understand. No, we were a byproduct of Abraham Lincoln's Civil War. A byproduct. That's what we were. We were a byproduct. And when somebody once said that we were safer in slavery than we were during constructionism after the Civil War, they're correct. And people was like, well, that can't. No, we were safer. Because when you're somebody's property, do they want to mess up their property?
Nope.
But when they're angry about losing their property, what would they do to their property? They would destroy it, right? Mm-hmm. So after slavery, when the Emancipation Proclamation, and after the Civil War, white people started to be brutal to African, even more brutal, and take lives because we were no longer their property, so they were not losing their property anymore. Was it better? No, it was horrible. Was slavery good? No, it was horrible too. But now you understand how white people think.
Real quick, let me tap in. Just some foundation. On July 28th, 1868, the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution was ratified. The amendment grants citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the United States, which included former slaves who had just been freed after the Civil War. Now, continue.
So, now, the Emancipation Proclamation was 1863. Mm-hmm. If you do not know much about Abraham Lincoln met with the leaders, the African American leaders at that time, and told them, hey, y'all the issue with America. Y'all the issue. So because y'all the issue, this is what we're going to do. We're going to set y'all up a colony in Central America. We're going to ship y'all there, and that should get America back together again. What? Yes, Abraham Lincoln, when the Civil War started, was not in favor of African Americans being here, nor did he believe we were equal to a white man. His goal with the Civil War was to weaken the South. That was his goal. And he felt like we were the issue with the South because, one, as slaves, we enriched the South. Two, as not slaves, we caused an issue, a dynamic issue that angers other people. And guess what? Abraham Lincoln was still a politician. Now, Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, I can't say they were friends, but they were very, very good working, had a very good working relationship. And through his conversation with Frederick Douglass, he realized something. This ain't right. Because, yes, Abraham Lincoln's family did own slaves as well. So you had
But not him directly, but he had family members that owned slaves.
No, his father and them, bro.
No,
yeah. So his father and grandfather. So this is what people need to understand about the Constitution. Your founding fathers Your first, 14 presidents, most of them, their families owned slaves. When the Constitution was written, it was not written when they said freedom and liberty for all. They was talking about for them because they were talking about the citizens of the United States, but they did not consider us. They didn't consider us citizens, and they didn't consider Native Americans citizens. Now that's the messed up thing about this situation. How you don't consider the people who were here first citizens? like even when you dealing with Mexicans, how you not consider them citizens? They were here first. They was sitting on this land before you brought your pink-toed self over here and got your butt off the boat and stuck it on this land.
Facts.
They were here first.
She was over here dying, eating the wrong shit, freezing during the wintertime, and they kind of
helped you out.
Yeah.
Now, again, so Abraham Lincoln was not in favor of us being equal, nor us living here, but he started to change his mind over time, which is what I believe got him killed. Now, why do I say the attack on Black America? Do people really think this has changed? Ain't nothing changed. In 1866, the first Civil Rights Act was passed. People don't realize the Civil Rights Act in 1960. No. In 1866, the first Civil Rights Act was passed. However, states said what? You can't tell me what to do. We states. And say what else happens? And then African American goes to the court system because they're free now, right? Mm-hmm. And the court say, oh, well, we can't do nothing about that. We can't protect you from harm or individuals, privatized citizens doing you harm. Yeah. We can only protect you if the federal government do you harm. So they can hang you, lynch you, castrate you, whatever.
Do whatever.
We can't protect you from that. Why did the Supreme Court say this? Because they were slave owners. They were installed by Union officers or Union government. Guess what? They own slaves too. See, we think, we fought for the Civil War and things are going to be fair, free, and equal. No. After the Civil War, after African Americans were free, after they were given the right to vote, they changed the landscape of Congress and state legislation. When the Old South figured that out what was happening, and the old guard was changing, they decided to brutalize. Look up Colfax, Louisiana, where they went and killed over 200 African Americans because legislation in Louisiana changed.
Or look up Wilmington,
North Carolina.
Yes.
When the biggest insurrections happened. Mm-hmm. Yes, these things occurred.
Mm-hmm. They went and killed the elected officials. Why? Because they were black.
So what happens? By 1901, there was not one African American in Congress. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they were being killed and brutalized. Because they had no protections. Because see, the sons of the South, the sons of the Confederacy, they decided, hey, if we can't stop them from voting, we'll just kill them
off. Yeah.
And we kill enough of them, ain't nobody gonna nothing. Just like, everybody celebrates these movies like Gone with the Wind. Or wait, how about this? When Woodrow Wilson gave his stamp of approval for the first A Birth of a Nation. Mm. See, most people ain't watched the first A Birth of a Nation.
Yeah, you might want to watch that because that's what the Klan uses to recruit people.
Birth of a Nation is Nat Turner. A Birth of a Nation is the old film that talks about the South and how the South was happy and was morally good.
I know about that one. I didn't know about the one for Nat Turner though.
Yeah,
that's new.
That's new.
That came out in the last 4 or 5
A Birth
years.
of a Nation came out in like the 20s, 30s.
Yeah, they used the first one is what they used for the Klan to recruit people.
Yep, it was great propaganda that the president of the United States of America said is a great representation of America.
Which was it? Wilson? No, who was it?
Woodrow Wilson.
It was Wilson.
It was Wilson. Yes, it was Wilson.
Using blackface and everything.
Yeah.
Because they had basically in the movie they had the guy in blackface going to kidnap and rape the white woman. Yep. So the white men had to come together, right? And black people are afraid of ghosts.
I'm loving your sarcastic voice.
But this it gives you the history. See, black people are afraid of ghosts. So this is the reason why you wear the white sheets. You understand? Because it strikes fear into the black people because they're afraid of ghosts. Like I'm telling you, bro. You watch the movie, and it puts you in a situation where it helps you understand the psychology of white supremacy.
Yep. Because that was one of the biggest Klan recruiters ever. That was given a stamp of approval by a president. So let's go back a little bit more, though. Let's go to 1857. Anybody know what 1857 was? 1857, the Dred Scott case. Dred Scott case. Well, Dred Scott, if you don't know who Dred Scott was an African-American man who was actually sent to Milwaukee by his master, who was a physician, to help with a situation in Milwaukee. His master dies. You think Dred Scott was going to go back to slavery? No, he was like, no, I'm good. So Dred Scott sued and said, hey, my master died, I was free. And they said, no, as property, you can never be free. You must return to the family of your master and become enslaved. So that told, because you are not a citizen of the United States of America, and you cannot be a citizen of the United States of America because you're black, you're African, you're a former slave, which told Frederick Douglass, because that was a blow to Frederick Douglass, to told Frederick, you can never be a citizen. So what did Frederick Douglass do? I got you. I'm a powerful orator. I'm going to go around the world preaching this. So they brought Frederick Douglass to speak at an Independence Day celebration. Now, why white people do that? I have no clue. Why would you bring a powerful orator like, because you know Frederick Douglass was famous. He was one of the most famous African Americans in the world at that time.
They didn't know he was going to bring that.
Man,
that
well, no, he said, he went there, he said, thank y'all. I want to thank, the founding fathers of building this great nation. I want to thank you for the liberties that you enjoy. I thank you for the freedom and industrialization that you enjoy. He said, but what Independence Day got to do with me?
That was the most gangster speech. If you have never read this speech,
you need to read
this speech and think about the atmosphere upon which he said slavery
so, now,
all around this man.
The people he was talking to were 600 white people that actually they can't identify with him, but they felt like he was talking right and truth and to them right up until he said, "But you can't empathize with me. You ain't never been in chains. You want to stand here and be apologetic for it, but you're not doing anything about it." After that speech he gave about independence and liberty, because he said straight up, your founding fathers were slave owners. They didn't mean this Independence Day for me, because while they were celebrating their freedom, they was enslaving somebody else. Those same people who also fought in the American Revolution to help free this country. Same. Just like the Native Americans who fought during the American Revolution to help free this country. We all sit on the back burner and enslaved as you enjoy the freedoms and civil liberties of the benefits of the liberty that we all fought for. So why this not my Independence Day, it's yours. They shook the very foundation. And many people believe him and John Brown is the catalyst that started the American Civil War.
And I mean, a lot of people don't recognize his friendship with Lincoln.
They don't because they don't want to. Because after Lincoln was assassinated, because people don't understand why he was assassinated. This is what John Wilkes Booth did. Abraham Lincoln gave a speech about the freedoms, the protections, and the liberties of African Americans.
Go ahead.
And John Wilkes Booth was in the audience, and he turned to somebody and said, "That's the last speech that man will ever give." The last speech.
Also, a lot of what got Lincoln assassinated was people were still upset about the unconditional surrender of the Confederate Army to the Northern Army. That was this huge ego blow, and everybody was like, because a lot of the militias that ran around, the renegade militia that ran around after the Civil War, their main thing was we surrender. How could he make we surrender? It was that whole thing. And the change of the dynamic of finance, because slaves made them a lot of money.
Well, I was about to say, if you look at, you can compare the murder of Abraham Lincoln to the murder of Martin Luther King. Why?
No.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
You're not going where I'm going. So just listen, because Abraham Lincoln was messing with the finances of the South, right, by stopping slavery, right. Martin Luther King, he went when he started talking about the Vietnam War, and he started talking about taking the Montgomery boycotts to a national level to demand, basically calling for economic sanctions against the United States of America, and he was going to enact it himself by having blacks across the nation do mass financial protests. Because the Montgomery boycotts was the trial run of what his real plan was. They once you start messing with the money, people look at you and like, okay, we got to go ahead and get you up out of here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to interject there because you are not going to compare a white man who do not believe African Americans equal to black white people with Martin Luther King Jr. You're not going to do that. You can equate him with John F. Kennedy because John F. Kennedy actually was killed the same way, the exact same reason that Abraham Lincoln was. John F. Kennedy, you do realize, I want everybody to understand something about John F. Kennedy.
John F. Kennedy was a bad brother, boy.
No,
He was
not
a
just
bad
that.
man.
John F. Kennedy was put in office by African Americans.
Yeah.
We put him in office.
Yeah.
We voted him in. But you know what happened after he got in? Take a look at Biden. You want to know what happened after he got in?
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Oh, our priority is the race to space."
Yeah,
And he put civil rights on the back burner. You want to know what happened then? He got a letter from Martin Luther King. And he started to change his tone. And he brought forth, along with African American leaders, the new enactment of the Civil Rights Act.
Well, yeah, and that's I agree with you there. That
Wait.
also could be a divided him because he was also going
Wait.
against. He was also talking about trying to stop the prison industrial complex and the military industrial complex before they even got started.
Wait, there's more though. There's more.
I have to agree
He was
that-
also about to put in place another Emancipation Proclamation.
Right.
See, that's what got Kennedy killed. See, everybody's like, "Oh, it's about the what?" No, he was about to put in place another Emancipation Proclamation, which would have gave African. It was past civil rights. It would have gave African Americans not only equal just in the law, but also equal finance in the law.
Almost like what Ice Cube was trying to do with the contract with Black America. I think it would have been more. It would have been further reaching than that, though.
So it would have been passed because at that junk. Okay, so people don't understand about what John A. Bingham did. John A. Bingham was the person who stepped up and called white people the N-word. He said the N-word is not based upon color; it's based upon your actions as a person.
Facts.
This is a representative, a senator actually from Ohio, John Bingham. He came in and said, "We can't have this because if all people are enjoying the civil liberties, then who are we as a country?" So he brought about the 14th Amendment. And what people don't understand about the 14th Amendment was this. It was hard to get there and pass it. But they also put in protection so it cannot ever be repealed. Basically, you almost got to get 100% vote to repeal the 14th Amendment.
But see, the problem I have with that is you gotta that what you're saying is 100% correct. But the 25th Amendment don't have that type of protection.
But he didn't do the 25th Amendment.
No, I understand that, but I'm just looking at the optics of that. Think about that. So they could take your right to vote tomorrow if they felt like it.
Actually, they cannot.
Yeah.
And this is why they cannot. Because I was born here, I'm protected under the 14th Amendment. But
I get what you're saying, but that don't mean nothing because the people. I see what you're saying.
You're right. I'm protected because I was born here.
Naturalized.
So, but somebody who moves here that gets citizenship may not be protected. So what do? You can take their vote away from them, which also takes away the black vote, but allow for the Europeans that actually citizenize here to actually vote, which would make us still outnumbered. Mm-hmm. That takes away the disparity in the inner cities. Because who controls the inner cities? We do. Why? Because that's where we typically live. We don't move out to the suburbs en masse like that because we can't afford that because they up the prices, which is a whole other issue. So you got to look at it as in the 50s and 60s, Isaac Davis, Jim Brown, MLK, Malcolm X, they were saying something prevalent. They were saying that during this time, we are not free because we don't have the freedom to be free. And people were like, well, what does that mean? You cannot have me in bondage. But if you keep me in this isolated box, I still can't get away. You took off my chains and put me in a box. So what you did was you said, okay, y'all free. We're going to kill y'all politicians. Then we're going to separate everything. We're going to put y'all in localized areas so that we know exactly where you are. And if you in the South and you don't call your your grandparents or parents former masters, master and mistress, I will beat you and kill you. Because that's my way of intimidation. Now, I want people to understand this. This is not about black and white now. This is about the color of your heart. Because without Caucasians, without Hispanics, without Asians, without Europeans, there is no such thing as revolution. Revolution takes everyone. It takes everyone. There wasn't an African American that brought the 14th Amendment. It was a white man from Ohio. It was John A. Bingham. There wasn't a black man that signed the Emancipation Proclamation. No, it was a white man, Abraham Lincoln. There wasn't a black man that brought up the 1866 Civil Rights Act. No. Why? Because you couldn't vote. So you couldn't bring up. You ain't on Congress floor. There wasn't a black man that signed the Civil Rights Act in the 1960s. That was Lyndon Baines Johnson. There wasn't a black man that actually stood before the United States of America and put in your first African-American Supreme Court justice in 1967. There was a white man. Now, there are white people, black people that are good and bad. What I'm saying now is everybody needs to wake up. Because if you don't know what the 14th Amendment is, that's a problem. Because without the 14th Amendment, you don't get the 15th Amendment.
Explain to the people about the 14th Amendment and explain to the people the attack upon it.
So the 14th Amendment is what gives you your privileges and your immunities. Your privileges are your freedom to enact and do certain things in this country that allows you to vote, get a job, get a fair wage, get an education, get property, live, walk down the street, go shopping in the whatever grocery store that you want to. Those are your privileges. Your immunities are your protections against discrimination, sexism, misogyny, bigotry. Those are your immunities. Those are your protections. It is your protection against somebody trying to stop you from reaching that fundamental goal and thing that the Constitution says. Life and liberty. That's what the 14th Amendment does. It makes you, as a person that is born on this soil, a citizen of the United States of America, which means you are deemed a priority to get your privileges and immunities as a citizen of this country.
So then, do we say that what the attack on Black America is it to put us back on the plantation? Is it back? Is it literally or figuratively, or is it is the attack on Black America a move to keep us subservient? What is the exact attack? Is it to keep us from striving? Is it to keep us? Because we've already shown that we can be doctors, we can be lawyers. We've already shown that we can fly planes, going back in history. We've already shown that we are capable of good military service. We've already shown that, Hitler's Aryan edict was some bull crap. So what is the attack on Black America?
So
what
you brought the military, right? How many black generals do you have?
You're not necessarily
9.
prominent. Okay, I was going
9.
Yeah, 9.
And how many generals are there? How many African American presidents have we had?
Presidents.
Yeah.
One.
No, actually, it's 2, but we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah.
Actually, it's 3, but we'll talk about that another time too. Because remember, one drop of black blood.
Yeah, I know.
How many?
Semantics,
This is the state of Georgia. You got 179 counties. How many black superintendents are there? 8.
Yeah.
So you ask yourself that question. How many black billionaires are there?
4.
No, it's more than 4.
Oh, it's 4.
That's more than 4 because some of them don't speak up. So when you look at this,
for a good reason.
So when you look up and you look at the situation, you have taken us financially out the picture. You have taken us educationally out the picture. You have taken us politically out the picture. We want to be like you because that's what you told us is a good thing.
Here's the flip side to the argument, because somebody on the other side may say, well, nobody's stopping you from going out and being a millionaire. Nobody's stopping you from going out and achieving and attaining. But then again, if you're on the inside looking out, you know that there are glass ceilings everywhere. You know that you're still held back in certain places, certain ways. So what do you say to the person that says, well, how are we? What is this so-called attack? How are we being attacked? Nobody's attacking me. I can go out and be anything I want to be. What do you say to that?
I say this: you can be anything you want to be that they allow you to be. Because at the end of the day, how many black millionaires give other people millions? Other black people millions? They're not. How many?
Give them what?
Millions.
Okay.
You got how many black banks? We had 6 black banks to close because they couldn't get FDIC regulated. How many times African Americans go to Bank of America and get $5 million business loans? Because I can tell you, there's executives banks that tell you straight up they won't do it because it don't matter whether you got collateral, good credit, or none of it. They're gonna say your business is not viable. Mm-hmm. You control the narrative. We don't. And since African Americans or actually black people don't control the narrative, this is what you do. Willie Lynch still exists today. Why? Because I won't give you African American this business loan, but I'll give it to a Nigerian. Because I can say he's black, I gave it to him.
Right.
But that Nigerian already had money.
Yeah.
So when you look at the situation at hand, no, I'm not putting you in shackles and putting a noose around your neck saying you can't get there because they are doing it nowadays. They're putting shackles on us and noose around. It's called prison system and quote unquote modern day lynchings. But a modern day lynching may not necessarily be a noose. It might be 8 bullets to the back.
Yep.
So no.
Or a knee in the neck.
Or a knee in the neck. However, I want you to look at just like this. Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton, Malcolm X. What happened to them?
They were killed off.
They were killed. But let's take it further. Clementa Pinckney. What happened to him? But see, most people don't know their name, do they? Mm-mm. We're going to go to commercial break. And after commercial break, I'll tell everybody who Clementa Pinckney is.
For sure.
Deep
DJ D-Lock, take us on out to the commercial break. And our artist, I say it wrong after that.
Artist spotlight.
Our indie artist spotlight for today. We're going to get some of that in the box, too. We're going to get some of that in the box.
Always, man, always. All right, guys, this Sankofa Paradox with Ed D and Low Key will return in a minute right after our Indie Spotlight. Today's Indie Spotlight features music from singer-songwriter Anthony David, originally from Savannah and still based right here in the Atlanta area. You can check out his music on all streaming platforms and check him out on Instagram at Anthony David ATL. We'll be checking out his classic track Forevermore, featuring another Atlanta-based artist, Algebra Blessed, right after our official intermission song, I'm in the Box, by Lyrical Preacher. Stay tuned.
Yo, LMR, ISO. This for all my people in the boxes. You know, those who scared to step outside the comfort zone. This one's for you. Let go. I'm in a box. I'm in a box. I'm in a box. And I don't wanna come out. I'm in a box. Hey. I'm in a box. Hey. I'm in a box. Hey. And I don't wanna come out. I'm in a box. I'm in a box. I'm in a box. And I don't wanna come out. I'm in a box. Hey. I'm in a box. Hey. I'm in a box. Hey. And I don't wanna come out. Swaggy, swaggy, swag. Swaggy. I'm a swagaholic. Swag. I got so much swag, I could make a swag profit. Gucci on my body. Gucci. Louis on my bag. Louis. You love this crappy music, so I gotta pop them tags. Cash out. Pork chop, ballin'. Ballin'. Call it balls hog. Oink. I get so much money, call it women, female dogs. When I'm in the club, all the people lose control. I'm crazy. And that's because I sold the music industry my soul. They said to take my talent and put it in a box, so I'll never make enough money to afford a pair of socks. No clothes. So here I am flexing, cause I sacrificed my dignity and sealed away my vision just to make it in the industry. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. I sold my own mama for this fame. You I'm in a box. I'm in a box. I'm in a box. And I don't wanna come out. I'm in a box. Hey. I'm in a box. Hey. I'm in a box. Hey. And I don't wanna come out. I'm in a box. I'm in a box. I'm in a box. And I don't wanna come out. I'm in a box. Hey. I'm in a box. Hey. I'm in a box. Hey. And I don't wanna come out. Okay, hold up. I really think I need to address this. Yep. It's funny what a person will do for a gold chain or a diamond necklace. Really? 70% of the time, it's not even about the money. They just want attention. And they're willing to sacrifice their integrity and originality for an honorable mention. Let me hit you with a question. Are you really that pressed for the fame? That you're willing to limit your talents and gifts to skate your way into the game? That's a one-hit wonder. 15 minutes lost of your artistic focus. I mean, can you even imagine me dumbing down my rhyme just to get noticed? Pay attention. Turn up, turn up, turn up. Turn up. All I do is turn up. I turn up so much I might as well eat a bag of turnips. Hey. You wanna know what's sad? What? I bet you like that line. It made no sense at all, but I bet you got crunk off that line. Yeah, you can have that. I'ma stay right here with my gift and my talent. If you really wanna make moves, you gotta step out the box and achieve that balance. Go left field, stand out. Go against the grain to get free. Cause last time I checked, hopping on a bandwagon is not define who you wanna be. Nah, bro, fuck that. I'm too scared to be myself. I'ma stay in my box. I'm in a box. I'm in a box. I'm in a box. And I don't wanna come out. I'm in a box. Hey. I'm in a box. Hey. I'm in a box. Hey. And I don't wanna come out. I'm in a box. I'm in a box. I'm in a box. And I don't wanna come out. I'm in a box. Hey. I'm in a box. Hey. I'm in a box. Hey. And I don't wanna come out. If you're tired of fitting in, let me hear you say I'm stepping out. I'm stepping out. I'm stepping out. I'm stepping out. If you'd rather be yourself, let me hear you say I'm stepping out. I'm stepping out. I'm stepping out. I'm stepping out. If you don't want to be something you're not, let me hear you say I'm stepping out. I'm stepping out. I'm stepping out. I'm stepping out. And if you're ready to break the mold, let me hear you say I'm stepping out. I'm stepping out. I'm stepping out. I'm stepping out.
I want you to remember when I profess my love. Press the button, I hope it's still recording every word I'm saying to you. I'm telling you right now from this day on, hey. Already weighed out the pros and cons. And gotta be honest, the woman I want. I want.
Our names, let the world know it's not a game. Lasts longer than a wedding ring. Generations tattoo with the love we bring. From the seeds we sow to the time it takes to grow. Long enough to show you I won't let go of you.
Without you, I'm incomplete. Like this love song without this beat. I'm saying that you are the man I need.
I need.
Yeah. My plans just to be with you. Big till the days are through. Ain't ashamed love to say I do.
I do.
Love was a mighty long time.
Spend this thing with you.
I shine when you
the wall, try to reframe it. Take all the color off, try to repaint it. If you want picture perfect, well, we ain't it. Because we painted our own portrait of me and you that can never be tainted. Because real love embodies all colors of the spectrum. Mix a few greens with your reds and your blues. Create some new views, then you rehang it. Start over, even though your friends gon' doubt you. And all them other niggas trying to scout you. It gets so tiring, but I'd be lying if I said that I'd be better off without you. And when I think of walking out you, smiling the way they make me feel like I'd be lost without you. Me and you are the only threats to us. Till death do us, I'm standing next to you.
Forever somebody long time, I don't really wanna spend it with you. I shine when you shine, and there's really no substitute. Forever somebody long time, I don't really wanna spend it with you. I shine when you shine, and there's really no substitute. Forevermore.
ATL, what's happening? We're back. I hope you enjoyed our industry artist spotlight. I got it right that time for the week. That's brought to you by DJ Neela. Listen here, if you want to get on the show with your talents, if you do some spoken word, if you can sing, if you got a couple of bars of that hot fire you want to spit, you need to go ahead and get that into the show. You can send that to ATL Underground MSE. That's at Gmail, right? It's at the Gmails to the .com. That's ATL Underground MSE at gmail.com. Send us your talent. If you got a business, if you got whatever it is you're doing out there, folks, send it in to us at that email, and we'll put you on the spot, give you a couple seconds, couple minutes of fame. Do that so we can help you get your projects and things going on out there.
Send it up. Send it up.
Send it that. Hey, you heard the DJ Neela. He said, "Send it up, send it up." Back to the show. I'm finna toss a huge ass alley-oop back here to Dr. Funkenstein because I hear the gears turning and he's definitely got something he want to get off his chest. By the way, that's a whole lot of chest.
Your mama.
So
She loves you like a play cousin.
Doc, what you got for us, man?
Besides the fact I can't see you in the dark.
Oh, here we go with that.
Smile, switch. I see you now.
Yeah, funny.
But everything that we talked about so far is attacks on Black America from America's inception. Now I want to talk about attacks on a Black America recently.
That's what did.
Okay, now in 2015, the suicide rates of Black men was 3%. 2017, it rose drastically to 11.4%. Now, some people might say, well, that's not that big of a rising. It's not that big a deal. But if you think about all the lives that had to be lost for that to crime, it's very interesting. And then you say, well, what is it about us? What is it about? Why are we, all of a sudden we going from, in a 2-year span, we go from not being that suicidal, being suicidal for 3% of our population to being suicidal 11% of our population. I feel like there are evidence. If you look at the suicides that have been happening over this last rate in time, you can see there's some questionable actions. For example, there was a young black, one of the leaders of Black Lives Matter in St. Louis, Supposedly he committed suicide, but his remains was found charred in his car. And his car was his car was set on fire. And the last time he was seen alive, he was in the presence of St. Louis police. They didn't find a letter, a suicide letter, or anything of that nature. I find that to be very interesting. Voting. Right now, as it stands, they are trying to, in the state of Georgia, as we all know, the state of Georgia was a very linchpin situation when it comes to Congress. But now they are trying to make it a crime to give water to people that are standing in line to vote. Why?
So, sidebar. The young man you're talking about in Missouri, his name was Darren Seals.
Mm-hmm.
He was shot in the head and his car was torched. Darren Seals was only 20 years old. But you go ahead and finish. Sound like Fred Hampton, don't it?
Exactly. Now there's another young man. They found him. They said he committed suicide. They found him hanging in front of the fire department, right? But there's some things that were mighty interesting about this scenario. There was no suicide note, right? And Mr. Low-Key, please explain to them the logistics of this of the way they found him. Was it even possible for him to do this to himself?
So, the first thing is there was 2 black men found hung in California. You had Robert Fuller, who was found hung. Now, everybody, I want you to understand something. I understand people like to think we're spider monkeys.
Right.
But we can't climb on a tree, tie up around and jump off. Because unfortunately, for those out there who like to believe this type of mess, one thing that black men will not truly do to commit suicide is hang themselves. Because that's too much like a lynching. That's almost a taboo. And we don't like to be on display because we don't want to be embarrassed. We're going to kill ourselves. It's going to be a drug or it's going to be a gunshot. Something that's going to be quick. We don't like suffering. We did enough of that for 400 years. We don't like doing that. So for people to come in and say, well, that was a suicide, what evidence do you have that it was a suicide? Because I'm sorry, physics is something serious. Physics says that he ain't jumping that high off the ground. He ain't pulling himself up by no noose and hanging himself. Because, I mean, I understand that you got a 7'6" dude playing basketball. He may have a 10-foot wingspan. But this man wasn't 7 feet tall. So, you telling me he threw a noose around the tree, pulled himself up, and tied the noose to a tree branch while killing himself? That's what you're trying to tell me? I'm sorry.
Did they find a chair or anything?
No chair.
Not to mention
He was a grasshopper. He can jump.
Okay.
Not to mention one of the dudes they found, wasn't his legs bent or something like that while he was in the
So
noose?
you're talking about Georgia, the teenager, who somehow jumped off a second floor of the hotel and put a seat next to where he was jumping off to. So I guess they was trying to say that he was jumping off onto a chair and missed.
But let's think about this for a second. He jumped off the second story to hang himself, but he put a chair there so he could stand up on the chair to hang himself.
But the rope was too long. Physics say if the rope too long, your feet go hit the ground.
Because when they found him, he was hanging by the rope, but his knees were bent. So
we boo-boo the fool.
to hang yourself, you got to kind of be, what they call suspended in the air.
Yeah, but you dangling on the ground. Your knees are scrubbing the ground, which means you had enough slack on that rope. So what that tells me was, scientifically, somebody literally, most likely, pulled you up. And then after they pulled you up to hang you, they tied the rope. And the rope was too long, so they tied the rope to the banister. And it was too long, so they wouldn't got a chair to put the chair, because everybody ain't smart. You got some dumb murderers out here. They put the chair beside you to make it look like a suicide. But they didn't realize, hey, dude, the rope was too long. But because African American lives are not important,
It really don't matter. He's dead.
so I'm gonna give y'all something. Any Caucasian that's listening to this, I want you to think about something real quick. You have a lot of people that say slavery wasn't that bad. You have the Hastings plantation that say, oh, everything was fine, everybody was happy. Cool. I want you to bring your family to me, all the women in your family. I want you to bring every last one of them to me. I want you to strip them down butt naked. I want you to put them in front of me. I'm going to bid on them. Why are you watching? You're going to accept my bid for all the women in your family. After I bid on them, I'm going to spray them with a water hose because I'm going to tell them they stink. Then I'm going to now beat them in front of you. I'm going to beat them until they answer to the name that I say that I'm going to tell them to call me daddy. And then I'm going to take them off wherever I want to, and then I'm going to brutalize them some more. And then I'm not going to feed them. I'm going to give them the scraps off my table. I'm going to order pizza. I'm going to eat all the pizza except for the corners and the crust, and I'm going to throw the crust in them so they can eat it.
How about that?
And then after they eat my crust, I'm going to tell them they got to all sleep in the bathtub and the bathroom together. And bathtubs ain't that big. But they all got to fit in there and sleep together. Every last one of them.
Never hanging out.
And you're not going to know what's going behind that closed door, but when they come out, you're going to realize that mentally they're distraught. But you can't do nothing about it. Only thing you can do is sit there and watch. When they try to run, I call my friends to come bring them back and say, hey, you can't run from your master. But you're going to cut off their pinky toe. Now tell me how you feel about that and then tell me it wasn't that bad. Because that's a small version of what happened. That's a slight version of what happened.
The nice version.
Because I could get into some other things, because let's not speak about the little boys.
Buck breaking.
Yeah, I was just about to say, and the buck breaking.
So
Experiments that they did on us.
But see, so I bring this to the forefront because it is truly a war on Black America, but the war is being fought on several fronts. Okay, like you got a war that's being fought on the music front, whereas music used to be something that empowered us. I'm Black and I'm proud. Used to be something that told the truth. 911 is a joke, and now it has turned into something that creates mindless drones, zombies, even with mumble rap and all these different types of things. Okay.
Hibbity hop, hibbity hop, hop, hibbity hop,
Right.
hop.
So now,
hibbity hop.
and then you can take that and you can parlay it into what we talked about the suicides that are not really suicides, right? And you can talk parlay it into voting. We talked about voting just a second ago. Like and then also it can be talked about finance. We're not taught about properly managing our finances. But those types of things are taught in more affluent schools. And let's just be real. The word affluency just basically means with the schools with money. Schools where the rich people go to school. You understand? Our Second Amendment right to carry arms. They don't want us to carry arms and bear arms to protect ourselves. So we have to wake up, ladies and gentlemen. We have to understand that we are in the middle of a war. Okay, it ain't starting tomorrow. It been started. Okay, and you have to get yourself together. Stop hanging out on that corner. Stop putting Turkish chicken and Popeye's chicken in your bloodstream. Because let's be real.
Hey, I love Church's fried okra.
I said it. But let's go. If you go to Popeyes, right? You look up at the menu.
Chicken biscuit.
One time I went up there, right?
Spicy chicken biscuit.
Right. I went up there and I looked. I said, what's that little signia? What does that mean? And then I actually read it. You know, it was in small print, right? Because you got to read the fine print. That basically said that this meal on this menu is going to give you your daily allotment for salt. That means if you eat anything else, you have put yourself in a scenario where you could possibly have a heart attack.
Takes a while, but yeah.
No, don't say it takes a while, because then it takes the urgency off of it. Because anything you put in your body that's inflammatory today could cause you to die because of what is out in the streets and out in these air today.
This is what I'm gonna say about this scientifically, right? In 2021, it doesn't matter what you eat, because every time you walk outside, there's some type of carcinogen that's killing you slowly. Because it's a industrialized age. Everybody was, well, why did people live so long back then? Because their body didn't inhale so many pollutants that cause the dynamic shift of chemicals in their body, which actually eats away at the epithelial cells that cause the denigration of your secretions and stuff that your body actually needs. Look it up, because I'm not going to go into a full-out physiological and biological lesson, but there are things that are killing you every day. Every time you walk down to your car, sit down, put your seatbelt on, put your foot on the brake, turn the car on, drive down the street, get out, put some gas in your car. At that moment of time, in that 5, 10, 15 minutes, you just added more carcinogens to your body that's killing you slowly. Because truth be told, mastocyte cells are all actually predestined in your genetic makeup. So therefore, it can be activated by anything over time. So those metastasized cells will eventually wake up in the body and cause the cancer, because you're in an industrialized nation. So, yeah, we're predestined for high blood pressure. No, we're not. No, we're not. There is no gene that says blood pressure high. No, what happens is for so long and for so much, genetically, we have been eating what somebody has given us. The scraps that someone has given us. So now it's to the point to where we work so much, we don't have time to sit down and have a family dinner. Yeah. We don't have time to sit there and cook. And now the food is so processed now that regardless of what, you put other carcinogens in your body.
That's why I really push, and I'm telling all of my brothers and sisters, let 2021 be the year that you work towards being self-sufficient with your food.
But even then, at this juncture right now, you got so many pesticides out there that when you grow your own food, you think them bugs gonna go down the street to the farm? No, they say we're gonna go to your natural garden. We can eat for free and not have to worry about Liam and my 3 cousins dying. Because at the end of the day, there's a natural ability to farming that has always occurred. But now, guess what has happened right now to our atmosphere? It is so depleted based upon the dynamics of quote-unquote global warming that when you try to do it, things adapt to the environment that they are in. Our bodies right now haven't really adapted, which is why our life expectancy has dropped so tremendously. That's why you're seeing so many people die young instead of great-grandmama who lived to be 106 chilling. But you can't understand it because she was smoking every day of her life. She made sure she had a pack of cool 100s. She made sure of that. But you like, well, dang, great-grandma been smoking all the time, and she 106. Great-grandma didn't grow up in a time where you had so many industrialized things going on either. Because people, African Americans, everybody else couldn't afford that many cars back then. Only the what had cars, the wealthy, right? Which wasn't us. We walked everywhere we went.
But that's also the reason why, because you have all these carcinogenic things in the air and everything hitting your radio waves, hitting your body and all this kind of stuff, we have to realize that we are in the midst of a war. And we have to take measures, we have to create countermeasures to protect ourselves and protect our family. Because you might be confronted in a scenario where you have a Dylan Roof that comes in your church. Are you prepared to defend your family or not? You might have a scenario where you have a KFC that is now creating bio meat, right? And is growing the chicken in a petri dish. Do you have your own food growing in your backyard? Why it won't be as great as great grandma had it, the point is it's not going to be the bio meat. You understand? Do you have your own chicken coop? Where you got your own chickens laying their own eggs, so you got fresh eggs that you can crack and fry up? It might not be perfect, but you, ladies and gentlemen, have to get to a point where you are self-sufficient, because you don't want to be the person going to the Kentucky Fried Chicken to get the bio meat because you don't know what that bio meat is going to do to your body. Okay. That's why I said we are in the midst of a war that's being fought on several different fronts, and we have to wake up and start to feed our minds properly. That way, because when you know better, you do better.
So I'm gonna say this: all day, every day, organic food. If it's truly organic, is great. But the organic food you see in the stores is not really organic.
No, not
They
at
got
all.
they got a label on it that say organic though.
Yeah, that's because
But
it's
that's
definitely not organic though.
They be like, oh, it's organic. Prove it. You can't prove it. You know, it's just like you can't prove that when you ate that chocolate bar, there wasn't a fly in it.
Oh man.
Well, I mean, that's why I stopped eating tuna fish because the government allows a certain amount
The
of
FDA,
roaches
not the
and-
FDA, allows
the
a certain
FDA
amount of what they consider particulates in all processed food.
Yeah, so you got the protein in there
So
from the roach
when you
leg.
talking about the war on Black America, it's larger than just politics.
Yes.
It's larger than just violence and education and financial. It's a whole systematic dynamic of the way that we actually cater to in life.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be honest about the situation. Even if I do everything correctly, if I get pulled over by the police, my life can end. Why? Because they don't see me as a human being. They see me as that N-word sitting in the car.
Don't let it be a nice car.
And that's the other issue. And you sit in a nice car. I've had situations because of the car I was in. I got pulled over, and they told me my car was stolen. Like, I know when you ran my tags, my name came up with the ID.
Yeah.
So what makes you think they're stolen?
Well,
I actually had a dude say,
Well,
"Hey, hold on." I actually had a dude say to me, "Is this a 2010? Is that why you pulled me over, bro? Because we in 2010 and I'm driving a 2010 for real?"
Or either they ask you what you doing over here. That's when you really know you got a problem. What
Like,
you doing over
what
here?
you mean? You mean on the street that I live on?
Right.
Yeah.
You mean on my house around the corner? Because I'm pretty sure you know my house is around the corner. Because when you ran my tags when you behind me, it gave you my address.
And that's the thing I wish they would stop doing. They get behind you and they ride you for miles while the computer's working. Listen, man, if I'm not doing that, leave me alone, please.
But that's the thing. So people want to know why people don't do more to make change. Because a lot of us have to worry about making it home at night. If you do the wrong thing and piss off the wrong people, you may not make it home that night.
Target. We got
So it's like, what do we do? Do we continue to kowtow and go on about our daily lives, or do we become revolutionaries? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, with everything I've seen in my life right about now, I'm ready to be a revolutionary. I mean, I have done a lot to help a lot of people to this day. I have. I can admit that. People say, you need to admit that to yourself. Okay, I'll admit that to me. I have. But guess what? They say if you help one person succeed, you have did a lifetime worth of work. But if your people are not in a better place, how much work have you really done?
Facts.
So
I like that.
I'm like this. At this juncture, hey, I've had a pretty decent life. But I think I need to see more.
And there are several different ways you could become a revolutionary. You don't have to get out in the streets and you know and be like Rambo. No, you could be a revolutionary when it comes to voting. You could be a revolutionary and create a Freedom Town and go and buy 109 acres of land and start building a city for us, by us, from scratch. Okay,
But I'm gonna
because
tell
if
you
you
about
create
that.
an environment where we are our own police officers, we are the mayor, we are the lawyers.
You mean like Greenwood and Pine?
Oh, because I would say that'll get you.
They're going to say it's a compound. Okay, so why they say the Black Panther Party was public enemy number one? Because they were doing what? They have feeding programs and they were indoctrinating children to be radicals. Ain't that what they said? So let me ask you this question, and it's a serious question. What makes you think they won't do that with Freedom Town? Because I'm going to tell you straight up, our work ethic is second to none. I can't say this generation's because they just like to skate by. But there's a lot of intelligence in this generation. But the generation before them, the work ethic is second to none, which means we would truly excel. What happens when we truly excel? Somebody come to do what? Take it away. They come to take it away. So we supposed to have equal protection as citizens, right?
We don't.
But yet, Ahmaud Arbery what happened to him?
I understand that. But
Michael
that
Brown,
doesn't
what
mean
happened to him?
but
Philando
that don't
Castillo, what happened to him?
That don't mean you stop.
That don't mean you stop, but you have to do it in a way that protects our children.
Well,
I don't
I
care
agree.
about me.
I agree with
I'm
that.
talking about the children because they're not going to get to us because guess what? We can go head up all day, every day. And I'm going to tell you straight up, you ain't going to beat me in the street. That ain't going to happen. But that child can't defend himself because that's what you're going to come after.
Well, I agree with you on that. You gotta play chess while they playing checkers.
But that's the thing. So when you're playing chess and somebody changed the board and changed the pieces, you're in trouble because the game that you know of, it no longer exists. And that's what's been happening. We've been playing the game that we know of, so they change it. So the game we knew of no longer exists.
That's the reason why I always say you have to have an Africa plan. Some people look at me like I'm crazy, and they continue to buy they summer house in Florida, and I'm like, you can build you a winter home in Africa.
Okay, you're right. You can do that, but I'm gonna tell you something.
A lot of
I'm gonna
people
need them
extreme.
to get their warlords together before I buy anything there because God,
That's a whole continent, bro.
you're right. A whole continent of people warring.
So hold on. But you don't go to where the warlords are.
You think warlords go? I'm just gonna take this little area. No,
Nah, if you in Accra, Ghana, you ain't got to worry about that.
no, you will eventually.
The point is, if there was a mass exodus of African Americans to any part of the continent of Africa, it also means wealth and money, and that's what warlords do. They come in to take an area over for what they can do for their pockets. So if 150,000 black folks went to any portion of Africa and started being affluent and financially on top and this, that, and other, guaranteed the BS is coming because they want what you have. They want your wealth.
But if you go, like for example, there have been plenty of us that have left and repatriated and went to Kenya, have left and repatriated and went to Ghana. That has not happened.
What kind of
and
money
they
are
have
they
taken?
generating?
They're regular people like you and me.
Then they
Okay.
got on the map. Then
But that ain't my point. My point is you have your Africa plan. You go to a place where it's safe, and then you build. You ain't got to go out there and be flashy. But people like Stevie Wonder has already he is repatriating currently to Ghana. He came out and said it point blank.
Who say this?
Stevie Wonder.
He say doing what?
He leaving. He gonna become a Ghanaian citizen. He said peace out to the United States.
Hey,
Steve
did the
Harvey
West
is
Hispanics do the
already
same
setting
thing
up
until
his
everything was
dual
good?
citizenship. Steve Harvey has set up his dual citizenship with South Africa.
Okay, okay, so that's all fine and dandy, right? So you got millionaires doing this. They're gonna be okay. I'm talking about Cortez and Joanna, his mama, who don't have that type of money.
There are those of us that have already gone that make the money that the average American makes and have gone over there and built a successful life.
Wait. The average American, you know how much average American makes?
You missing my point.
No, I'm not. I'm
Because
thinking about realistically. Do you
I
know?
am. I'm telling you, people have done it
No.
successfully.
Do you know how much the average American makes?
Oh my God.
The average American makes $24,000 a year.
Okay, they're above average. All right.
Okay, wait.
Middle class.
Okay, so the middle class is going to leave, right? Okay, all right. So this is what I don't think. I'm all for your exodus. Go do your exodus. That's what they wanted us to do a long time ago. They want us to leave the land that we helped build. By all means, go ahead. Go if you think the grass is greener on the other side. However, while your middle class tail is over there trying to live the high life until warlords come and take it away, the lower class are being subject to what the upper classes don't look like you do.
But I'm gonna also say this, and this is for the low. This is for somebody who came from the lower class to be where he
Came from and no longer there.
Hold on, listen.
He said it
There
like I
are
ain't come
those
from
of
lower
us.
class.
There are those of us. If you examine the way we spend our money in the lower class, we living in the projects, but we got 22s on spinners. We living in the projects, but we got Rolexes, $10,000 watches. You understand me? So my point is, everybody in this country that wants to repatriate and go over there, they can. Even the lower class can. It might not be able to do it as fast as middle class people, but they can if they want to.
So
part of what you're speaking to is a miseducation, just like the book Miseducation
of a
of
Negro.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the people who just said, just the example you gave in the hood with $10,000 Rolex, they don't understand and they don't know. So we have a large we have a larger task of educating, lifting the veil of ignorance off of the ignorant to say, hey, maybe there's a better life over here, and this is how you can do to get there.
Right.
But is it really better?
And even but
Because that was just
too.
600 little girls stolen, literally kidnapped.
Yeah.
Where?
In Africa.
Where? That's
And
a
the
big
thing.
continent, bro.
Okay,
if somebody
so-
is you know how many people be kidnapped and sold into the sex trade here in America?
Not 600 at one time.
Bruh.
Like you ain't moving
Bruh.
that type of cargo
Bruh,
in
that
America
ain't- that- bruh.
without nobody seeing
Bruh,
it.
but let's not act like that stuff don't happen over
I'm
here.
not acting like I know one
Okay,
thing though.
then. So you
Hold on,
talking
hold on.
about a big continent. You can fit 2 or 3 Americas over there.
This is what I'm gonna say. If that's your plan, by all means.
I had to agree with him. I don't know if that's the best plan. I've seen it. I've done a little bit of research on it. It looks good because they put out a thing on Facebook probably about 2 or 3 years ago, and they trying to get people to come to Dubai. You know, Dubai is
Yeah.
like a new metropolis. Dubai is pretty much the closest thing we have to a Wakanda.
No, sir. Dubai is definitely Indian. But go ahead.
I wouldn't say.
Well,
It's
I
an
wouldn't
Arab
say that.
nation.
What I'm- I'm not talking
And they
about
have the
as far-
issues too.
I'm not talking about as far as being. I'm talking about it being a place where people of color
Can go and
coming up
excel. Yeah.
and
Oh
doing
yeah.
big
Oh yeah.
things. That's
yeah.
what I mean by
Oh
the
yeah.
close thing to
Oh yeah. You educate over there? Oh, they treat you. An engineer? They treat you good.
So
And you ain't got to worry about getting your head cut off by the warlords.
But my thing is, it looks good over there. But you go over there, you don't speak the language. You know, you have a huge culture shift that you have to take into account for going over there. I mean, you got to think it's a lot you be giving up making that exodus. So is that actually going to be the best thing for everybody? Because just like they say, you know, you can take the person out the hood, but you can't take the hood out of a person. Imagine taking 1,000, you know, black folks out the hood over to Ghana that you like keep bringing up. Them folks will have us back on the plane in about 2 weeks.
Actually,
y'all
and
can't
this-
stay
and
y'all
this-
hood behinds over here.
The reason I feel like that is miseducation. Okay, that's divide and conquer tactics because I've been over there. I went down.
Okay,
I stepped on the ground, and the welcome that I received when I was there
received as a
was
visitor.
just ridiculous. You understand what I'm saying? It wasn't that. It was like welcome home, my brother.
Also-
Okay, they're offering us right of abode today. Okay, and dual citizenship. So what does that mean? They will give you land that you can build your house upon. There are members of my Omega Psi Phi organization that have purchased and are building houses, and they got this whole neighborhood. It's just the cubes.
Hold on. Let me ask you this. Let me say this. You're also talking about welcome home, my brother, to a person who's educated and knows how to act. I just asked you, what happened if you took 1,000 of us out the hood from America over there to start anew? Is that gonna work out?
I believe it will because once you get there, there's a healing that will take place. See? And that's my problem because you've never been there.
on.
There's a spiritual healing that you go through when you go to the gates of no return. It changes certain things.
You know what happens when you're dual citizen, right?
What? Go ahead and explain.
No, so you plan to take your children over there, right? So they must go to college over there.
I don't see. Get to
No,
your
I'm
point.
asking a question. Is that your plan?
Maybe.
You go there?
Get to the
Not
point.
Maybe. There's no maybe.
Get to the point.
No. Is that your plan?
I'm not thinking about
You see,
that part.
so you
Get to your point.
No, I don't have to get to my point. What I'm saying is this. You're not thinking clearly about the full dynamics of what you're talking about. A child that's a dual citizen cannot get financial aid in America. He must pick one place or another.
Okay.
There is no okay. That's why I asked that question. Because you go, okay. No, that's a big thing.
Well, first of all, I plan to be financially solvent to the point of where my kid doesn't need financial aid.
So you say
I don't want to. I plan to be financially solvent to the point where my kid don't need financial aid.
your kid. We talking about everybody's kid.
No. You
That became
asked,
real
you asked,
privatized.
you asked a specific question. You said
I
about
said
me.
kids. I didn't say
answered
your kids.
question.
I said children.
No. You said so.
I said you plan on taking
you said
children over there.
You plan on taking your children over
You
there. And your
was
children. So
you
I answered
was
your question.
you
I
can be
answered your
plural.
question.
You can be plural or
I
singular.
answered your
You
question.
can be plural or
I
singular.
answered your
What
question.
about those people who can't be financially solvent? to be able to,
Why? Well, my argument would be, why can't they go over there and become financially solvent? There's nobody over there that's going to stop them from building their business and building up their financial solvency. Whereas there are people here who whole existence is made to stop us.
Spend 2 years over there and then come back and tell me that.
All right.
When you do that, then let me know. When you do that without incident, let me know. Because there's problems everywhere. Ghana.
I didn't say there wasn't.
Okay, no.
But it's not like. But at least I won't be subject to this hunting that's happening.
To
here.
what? You need to talk to some military people that actually been over there for longer than 2 months.
Oh my God! Like you talking about we ain't talking about the Congo. You talking about things that are happening in different parts of a continent.
Hey, guess what?
So wait, let me ask this. So are you saying that you don't have to worry about glass ceilings over in the continent of Africa?
I can swear on Black Panther they call them colonizers, right? He acting like that's a fence stopping you from going from Ethiopia to Sudan. Ain't no fence. You acting like they can say, oh, you can't come onto this part. I don't think that exists in Africa. Because guess what? You talking about something happening in Louisiana can't happen in Arkansas. I beg to differ. All they got to do is take their butt from Louisiana to Arkansas. You're not thinking geographically about the total situation. You're thinking about isolated situations. I'm talking about the principal dynamic of a global situation. And in a global situation, people travel.
So what you're saying basically is there's no way for you to ever try to better yourself, so you should just stay in your station and just basically...
What does this have to do with station?
Because I'm talking about stepping up to another level.
Stepping up to another level?
I'm talking
well, do that home.
No.
Do that here where you grew up and got your education in.
Why you can't do both?
Same reason why they don't do both.
What?
What you mean? What you mean? What?
Okay, let's be real. The Africans that come over here, hold on. The Africans that come over here, they make some money here. Mm-hmm. They send it home. They do both.
They send home to bring their people here.
You missing the point. They still send money.
They're not staying though. Are they staying?
They send money home to their villages to feed their people.
They send their money home to the village, but they don't take their butts back. So if it's so great, why are they here making money instead of there?
Bruh. You missing the whole
No. Answer the question.
So basically, you don't. So you're never gonna go home. You're never gonna go visit.
Pause. My home is here. I was born and raised.
Where your people was born.
I was born here.
Your people wasn't born here.
Whoa.
Your lineage don't come from here, bro.
My people. Tell me my family history.
All of your
stop. Because see, now we splitting hairs on semantics. You know what he talking about when he says where your people are from. He talking about where the
But that's the thing. That's my point. Don't tell me where my people from. Because no, bro, no. Because
I mean, I got people. Listen, part of me is from here too.
So,
Native American. I understand that.
So then, do not claim one place and not claim another.
Whoever said I wasn't claiming this place?
You said I can't better myself here. You said don't go home, dude. I was born here.
I said
that's my point.
Have a African plan. I have two things that we need to work on: building a city for our own here, where black people are the mayors, black people are the judges, black people are the lawyers, black people are the police. We the doggone meter maids, we everything in there. You say you can't do that. They're gonna go ahead.
I didn't say you couldn't do that.
No, that's what you said.
No,
they're gonna classify you as a terrorist, and then they're gonna lock you up. Now, I'm also saying, go ahead and go home. Have your African plan.
And that's my point.
Wrong with
don't call someplace my home. That is not my home.
That's fine. It ain't gotta be your
home. I'm
home.
gonna work and fight in the streets where I was.
No. You can do that. And I can do it too.
Okay, well then do that. Because why are we always talking about going someplace that? First of all, if you ask real Africans, they say we're not African American because we're not from Africa. Our black butts was born here. Our home is where you're born. We can't fight for citizenship.
I can attest to the fact that they do look down on us sometimes.
It's not. It's some of them, and it's the 1%ers over there.
Nah, some of them. Guess what?
Just like it's some people that look down upon us over
here. That's my point. That is my complete point.
Bro, it's people that the rich over here. There's some of the rich over here look down upon us too. What's the difference?
What the difference is? I was born here.
When you go over there, you become.
I wasn't born there. I was born here.
Okay, so
if I'm gonna fix a situation, I'm gonna honor the people that helped me get to the point that I am and fix the situation here. Because me fixing the situation over there.
But when I gave you an opportunity, I said, we can go ahead and choose this scenario, which will fix the situation. You said we can't do that.
I did not say that.
What was your
I
response?
say you have to be careful because they can, if we become too successful, they can I can classify us as a what?
But that is but saying it that way.
Oh, now saying it that way.
No, because it paints it in a negative light, and it changes it.
Let's be okay. So let's be straight up and honest here. Let's be straight up honest. Anything we do can be scrutinized.
Yes.
So you must be careful in anything that you do, regardless of what your profession is. When you walk into your place of work, business, you got to be what? Careful. You got to tell her the way you say things. Tell her what you're gonna say. Tell her how you dress. Tell her how you behave. Because what in that environment, you must tell her to what your what want. Your supervisor, your bosses, right? Right? That's principal dynamic, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to tell you that if you go and try to maximize this plan of a freedom town, that you must be careful because the moment some little pink person feels like you're a threat, they're gonna J. Edgar Hoover your butt. Yep. And so what you gotta do is be careful. Like I said, yes, we play chess and not checkers, but you gotta make sure they don't change the board and the pieces on the board. Because at that moment of time, you become public enemy number one. Because that person sitting in that office that runs that 3-letter organization can deem you at any moment of time as an enemy of the state. And now you must sit up there and build a military compound to make sure that your people are safe. That's what I mean. Taking my butt over to Africa, which is the motherland, does not help my family and my people here. Me taking them over there and putting them in a situation that they are not familiar with and the land that they are not familiar with, telling us I'm going to build something is asking for trouble because when the people over there get tired of my black butt, bringing my people to taking their resources, guess what they're going to do? They're going to jettison my butt right back out because the warlords there are there because people have come in and took over their land and they want it back.
They're there for the white people that have come in and took. I feel like if you go
white
over
people,
there,
they go into black villages.
I feel like if you go over there and you are helping the community and you become an asset to the community rather than a leech to the community, that won't be a problem.
One person's asset is another person's enemy. Because control is control. Control is control. If you feel like your control is lessening, you fight to get your control back.
Okay, so basically, every option that you got on the table is an issue. It's a wall there in any way you want it to be a wall. The point is, if you want to make some headway, you got to kick that bitch down. Period.
I want to kick doors down, but I'm gonna kick it down for my kids here because this is where I grew up.
And that's fine. That's my whole point. I want my children to be able to play in the street and not have a cop come up to them. What you doing here? I live here, bro.
And even if you're in Freedom Town, they can do the same thing. Because guess what? While you saying you got your own cops, guess what? You're still jurisdictional to the state of whatever state that you're in. So they can send a patrol. They can send a Georgia patrol and say, "What y'all doing here?" And ain't nothing you can do about it. You want to know why? They're not localized jurisdiction. They're state jurisdiction. What I'm saying is you have to set it up to the point to where people will leave you alone, which means that you got to be an asset to somebody else. It's got to be somebody who controls the narrative because even then you don't control the narrative because guess who you got to pay taxes to?
Oh, so you still got to kiss master behind is what you're saying?
No, you don't got to kiss master behind.
So you got to play his game.
But you got to play the game. You want to play the game to the point because I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying being safe and smart about it. But don't make it look like in their eyes that you're combating them. Why? Because when you combat them, you got to remember you're what percent of the population?
13.4.
So when they come full force at you, we don't have enough people. In Africa, when you take your 1,000 behind over there, you're still less of a population that the population is there. So if they feel threatened, as at anybody, because people get territorial, when they feel, and don't think that Africa just black. You got the colonizers there too.
Oh, I definitely.
And guess what? Nelson Mandela was the first African president, or black president of South Africa. Not the 50th. He was the first. The first. Uno. Right. Madiba was uno. Which means everybody before him was what? White. So I don't want to hear about this part or this part. Because North Africa, they didn't have a black president either. So what I'm saying is, I understand what you're getting at, but don't think the grass is greener. Because every time we do that, we get there, and that patch of dirt end up being unfertile.
Well,
and we end up suffering.
I never said the grass is greener. What I'm saying is you got to have contingencies. And there's nothing wrong with having a contingency plan for in case it hits the fan, I can go to Africa if I want to, or I can go to Kenya if I want to.
Right. You
understand
can
what
go
I'm saying?
if you, and I'm saying you can go to Kenya if you want to. But until Kenya decide to make sure that them rich Europeans not going over raping their children like they've been doing for the past 50 years, that they still doing, that they still building them huts on those coastlines, and they still luring children into those huts. When you fix that, holler at me, and then maybe I'll think about it. But you can't fix that because when you take those children to the rape center that's overflowing, and you tell the police because you're black, they do nothing about it. Black. You're black in Kenya. Your children are being raped, and they're doing nothing about it.
So what? Ain't nothing like that. What's happening in Ghana, in Accra specifically?
So in Ghana, if you're looking at Ghana, look at the Ghanese government and look at what he's been fighting against. Because what did he come out nationally and say? He said we still have some issues with some warring on certain factions of our country, but we are welcoming our people back home. That is what he said in a public forum. He said we're trying to get it together, which means it's not together. He wants us to come back. Why? Because we have financial resources that his people don't currently have. We can actually afford, based on point or volume per dollar, to still buy the land that their people don't have.
Right.
So that's why he's asking for us to go back. It ain't so that we can come back to the motherland and make a better life. It's because we have the financial resources that they do not have. And us coming back helps out them with their economy and take land back from the colonizers.
Which in turn helps them as well.
So, but I'm going to tell you something about what you consider the rights of land. Because you have dual citizenship, you know what eminent domain is, right? It's not just for America. Other countries have eminent domain.
Yeah, but that country does not have eminent domain.
How? Who told you that? Who
you,
told you
if
that?
If you die, first of all, when you buy land in Ghana, right, in Accra, you buy land, you don't have to pay yearly taxes on it. You buy it that one time, and that's it. You don't pay on it no more. Okay?
So you say they don't have eminent domain, right? So how are they taking the land back from the white people?
Well, that's happening in South Africa.
That's happening in Ghana too. So again, if you have no eminent domain, how are you taking land from the white people?
And
we'll see.
Hey, right there, we gotta put a pin in it. Wow, it gets hot. It gets hot on the show sometimes.
This some G stuff, brother. We go hard.
It gets thick.
Hard in the paint.
We go ahead and hit them with final thoughts. Then we gonna close.
I blocked his layup though. He went in for a layup. It was a finger roll.
No easy baskets though.
Hey man, don't be talking about my Knicks. I know that was a little shade on my Knicks. I know that. That was a sore point too. I still remember that move. I was like, why you ain't dunk it? But the man knees was shot, man.
With that pen, you know, when it get thick, next thing you know, we'll be on here for daggone 2.5 hours.
Yeah. Dr. Funkenstein, what's your final thought?
My final thought, ladies and gentlemen, is we have to wake up. There's a war on Black America. Excuse me, and the war is being fought on several fronts. It's being fought on education because we don't know our history. We can't depend on the pink people to teach us about ourselves. It's being fought with voting. They're trying to make it a crime to give people water in the voting lines. What is that? Well, how is that a crime? We are under attack in music. We are under attack in so many different areas. Ladies and gentlemen, we're under attack food-wise. You have to wake up. We have to go ahead and learn how to protect yourselves. Don't just go out and buy a gun. Go out and get a class. Learn how to use it. So that way, when the time comes, you can defend yourself. If there is a Dylan Roof that comes into my church, or comes into your church, you should be able to defend yourself and not be a victim of such depravity and shenanigans. Make sure that you can protect your woman. Make sure that you protect your children and your family if you need to, emotionally, physically, and mentally, because we are at war. And if you think we are not, you got a problem.
Mr. Low Key, what's your final thought?
Go ahead, Eddie, because what I'm about to say.
Oh my gosh, here we go again. We got another I'm a revolutionary soliloquy. All right, my final thought is, listen, I agree with everything that Dr. Funkenstein said. I think that we need to find a point of attack from, or counterattack from the attack that's being put on us. I seem to think it's in finance and politics. We need to press our politicians. We need to put more African American politicians out there in the Senate and in Congress. I think we need to become a financial power. I'm always going to say that in this country, or realize our financial power in this country. And when you learn to play the games of the dominant culture, their chess games, their financial games, whatever it is, when you learn to play the dominant culture's game, then you can't help but to be prosperous. So yes, we're under attack. That attack is guilt based. That attack is jealousy based. That attack is downright just demonic possession based. But through the word and through becoming taking up higher stations in society through politics and finance, I think we can combat it. I think we can fight it in a big way from those areas. It's not enough to say we're under attack. It's not enough to say we're at war. It's not enough to say, they infringing on our. It's not enough to throw up all these banners and all these premises and all these, $50 statements and words. But then, okay, well then where do you start your counterattack? That's what I want to talk about. Okay, we know we're being attacked. We sit on TV all the time. We've seen my man Floyd. God dang, I cannot remember names today.
George Floyd.
We've seen George Floyd. We've seen other people handle a certain way. We've seen what happens to blacks and African Americans when we start coming up a little bit. Okay, where do we counterattack? Where do we start to build up our defenses so that we can counteract some things and go, you're not going to be able to do that. And we're not just waving our finger and saying stuff. It's actually push the button and things start to change. Like, first and foremost, I'm going to say that our first flag in the ground should be making it etched in stone in the constitutions that African Americans have the right to vote. When we can do that, then doggone it, we've done something big. That we could actually even say the phrase "we've overcome" a little bit, if and when we can ever make that happen. We can push and get it in the Constitution. African Americans have the right to vote. And somewhere in the Constitution, a new amendment, a footnote, an end note, whatever it is. But if we can get it somewhere in that Constitution, black people, African Americans have the right to vote, then we done something. Until then, we still just flapping our gums and knocking our heads up against the wall.
At the beginning, I talked about Dred Scott's case of 1857. Then I talked about the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863. Then there was the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which just said all men, whether born in slavery or not, regardless of race, color, or creed, all men were deemed citizens of the United States of America. Not women, all men. Then you had the Civil Rights Act of 1875. They said that regardless of what race or creed, no one can be discriminated against. Fast forward, you got 1901, where there was no longer any African Americans in the United States Congress. Fast forward to the Civil Rights Act of 1865. Fast forward, this is 2021. We're talking because even though we've made headway, we're still not free. We still not treated as equal. We still don't have the civil liberties that we deserve and that's constitutionally supposed to be given to us. So I'm going to say this, America, and I'm going to say this, people. You better be lucky that we fighting for equality and not revenge. Because if we fight for revenge, you're going to have a hard time in these streets. Martin Luther King said that practice nonviolent acts because nonviolent acts causes people to think about the atrocities that they do. But Martin Luther King learned it from Rustin. And if you don't know who Rustin is, that's because he was a gay man. And so they pushed him to the back burner of the civil rights. But he learned nonviolent acts, protests from Rustin. So I want you to think about this for a second. I don't care if you're gay, straight, black, white, Puerto Rican, Asian, Vietnamese, Filipino, Native American, French, Russian, Scottish, Irish, Italian. Treat people the way you want to be treated. If you want to be free, allow somebody else to be free. If you want to be successful, allow somebody else to be successful. It shouldn't matter what he looks like. It shouldn't matter where he's from. It shouldn't matter his political stance. Allow that man that thing that the Constitution said is supposed to be ours. Liberty and justice for all. Liberty and justice for all. My people, I say this. Make them honor what they put on paper. They put it in paper. We didn't force them to put it in paper. They put it on paper. So you make them honor it. And I suggest starting on March the 7th, 2021, we start forcing America to honor their agreement, to honor their pledge, and to honor what they said this country's supposed to be about. Because if they don't do it soon, we won't be asking for equality anymore. We're going to be seeking revenge. With that being the case, we love everybody. We appreciate everybody. We appreciate the support that we're getting from everyone. It's been a beautiful thing. We pledge to you that we will be a force for change at ATL on the ground and on Sankofa Paradox. This is a grassroots station for the revolution of not just African Americans, but for the people of this country to be better, do better, and want more. With that being the case, thank you, ATL. Thank you, Georgia. Thank you, world. Thank you, America. Thank you for all those and your support. We appreciate you. We love you. Please continue to support. You can find us.
Definitely continue to support.
At the website at www.majorsmartllc.com. MajorsmartENTLLC.com.
Don't forget that ENT.
You can email us at atlundergroundmsc@gmail. You can email us at majorsmartent@gmail. You can tweet whatever. I don't know what our Twitter name is right now because I can't think of it. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on any type of social media you want to. Reach out, let us know, give us your suggestions. Again, we appreciate y'all support. We couldn't ask for more. Thank you very much. We appreciate y'all. ATL, world, we out. Yeah.
Them deuces.
KK.
Sigh.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Sankofa Paradox with Ed D and Low Key on ATL Underground Radio. We are live every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the playback of today's episode available Monday at 7 o'clock p.m. So be sure to tell a friend and check us out at majorsmartentllc.com. You can also download the free app on Google Play and the Apple Store by typing in ATL Underground in the search bar. Got a topic you'd like to hear us touch on? Shoot us an email at majorsmartent@gmail.com with your suggestions. Catch you on the flip side, and we'll see you next Sunday.